I just want to take a moment to talk about collecting physical media. Sometimes I show my collection. So, for instance, got vinyl, CD, mini disc, VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, even got an iPod Classic. Um, Now, okay, so I've got mine at really good prices because I'm not hasty, and I start to really do a bit of research. I try to sort of like think, what is it I actually visualize? What is it I'm looking for? For instance, a lot of people buying record players now. They're buying, like, okay, maybe they're modern like new ones, but I don't think the build quality is very good. And you start reading the reviews, and people are not happy. And the build quality in the past was better. So it stands to reason the sound quality is going to be more better, and obviously you've got options. So I made a conscientious decision that I'm going to look at the used market, because I just want something superior, and that's not always going to be something that's new. So it wasn't necessarily the price; it was more, I just want something that matches what I want. I don't want something that looks too old, like too wooden and things. I didn't really want that so much. So when I got my record player, I looked on eBay. Now, what's curious is, if you'd actually look at my record player, it's good actually shot here. At the bottom here, it's got USB. It's also got an SD slot here as well. So I haven't got a manual to it, but I'm pretty sure it means you can record to the records. I'll be able to record to, and I'll mess with it. I'm gonna test that at some point. I might try and put my records onto MP3, and then I can store them on my computer, and even then play them on the iPod, which is pretty cool. And it's not vintage old. It's modern, but with it's not too modern though. So it's like a really good system. I don't know what it would have cost brand new, but I was under no illusion that this is not some sort of cheap, tacky device. This was always going to be something really good. Again, I didn't have a clue how to use it. I was trying to test the buttons, figure things out, trial and error. So now what people might be surprised is, because obviously it's record player, thinking, how much is this going to cost? I think even the budget ones, you're looking at maybe 60 quid, 60, 70 pound for them portable ones that are absolute nonsense. So this one, where are we? Is it here? Purchases? Yeah. Okay. So return window closed there. So 13th of March, 2023. So that was last year. I bought this in March last year, and I paid £19.99, £20 for that. That was a bargain, and I was like, this is great. One of them, I did buy another stereo system in the end as well. I think that one come with speakers. My daughter's got that one now. It's the same brand, but it looks slightly different. For instance, my one, if we can find it, my one doesn't have a CD deck. Her one's the same size roughly. It's wooden rather than the metal, and it has a CD built into it. It doesn't have I don't think it has all the recording functions, but effectively it's got CD and record, which is great. Cost me a bit more money, but it did come with speakers. And I didn't actually buy it initially for her. It was just such a good deal. I was like so impressed with this one that I just started asking family members, like, I've seen some good deals. Are you interested? And they were like, no, I don't want one. I thought, well, I'm not leaving it on. I'm not leaving it. So I bought it and just stashed it at home. I just thought, what's 40 quid, So my one only cost 20. The other one costs more, but it come with speakers, and I already had speakers. So yeah, £20. I used to have this CD player. It's got MiniDisc built in, but mine got ruined in a garage. It got wet. It was soaked. It ruined the electronics on it. My brother had exactly the same model as well, but his was broken as well, so it was a bit annoying. But I knew I wanted that one. I didn't want just a rubbish CD player. I knew how good that CD player was. What's that doing? Oh. Yeah, so my iPod's going crazy. The thing is docked onto, probably dusty. Yeah, so anyway, it cost me £45, but I'm pretty sure it came with the speakers as well. Yeah, but anyway, so mine only cost £45, but you can also, they're still available on eBay, but that's how much I paid last year for my one, and I was really happy. So effectively, my system is such that I've got the record player by RCA cables. I've got it connected to the input in, because you can also get a tape deck for my CD player. So I've got it coming in. So it's literally using the CD player as an amplifier. So when I put it into tape mode on my CD player, it's channeling the record, and then it outputs to my big speakers. So that's pretty cool. It does have outputs itself, so I could plug the speakers directly into it, but it seems stupid to have I don't know how that setup would work. I wouldn't want to keep unplugging and plugging things in every time I want to listen to a CD or the record. But it's a nice setup. So effectively, it just channels through the CD player and goes straight out to the speakers. So it's for me, it's perfect. And it hasn't cost me a lot. So effectively, between the two of them, if we look, we've got £45 and £20. So for me to have CD and mini disc and record, and the ability to record as well, it's in total £65 then, because that's for two devices. It's been a really good deal. And that's the whole point of eBay, isn't just like lash at deals. What you think, is keep an eye on the prices and then come back and maybe you'll see a new item pop up. So for instance, this item here, this is the one I've got and it cost me £20. But what I don't have is the bottom part. So I'm really thinking I could do with the bottom part. Not that I specifically need it because I already have CD elsewhere, but I could get the cassette part. But then I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I could get the cassette part to the stereo. I just need the cassette deck, this one at the top. So I could just look for the cassette part to this one, really, if I even want cassette. But again, I'm just showing really where I'm at. It's like there's always ways to upgrade and things to buy, But as you can see by the model numbers, especially if you're in the UK, it's worth looking at these. Sony DHC MD373. I think there's a model number that's slightly different, but very similar to the hardware anyway. But it's a great setup if you want a proper speaker system as well. It's really powerful, and obviously, ideally, you want the remote. I've had to buy a third-party remote, a universal one. It works. I don't think it's that universal. I think it's specific to this one, but it's not an official one. But it does all the inputs because that's useful. So effectively, this one here at the bottom, this is the one that's more like my one. So my speakers are on the wall behind my sofa, and it's a really, really nice speaker setup, which is why you've got 21 people watching it. Bear in mind. And then yet you've got new setups because people know the older ones are much better. I think we got that in the 90s or early 2000s when we first got our ones before I had to replace it with the one I've got now. Yeah, I mean, that one's trying to sell for 100. So that's that. Then we've also got this one I've got in the kitchen. And then I recently gave my daughter one as well because this is modern, but it's a really good modern equivalent. If you don't want a big speaker setup and you just want something compact in one, this is a really, really good CD player. It's got good bass, good sound. It's got Bluetooth. I think you can put USB into this one as well. And it's just side-loading CD. So you move the door opens, then you put the CD in there. I didn't pay a lot. I think I paid £70, £60, £70 or something. It's worth it. It was £100, but with discounts, it went down to that. So yeah, if anyone's looking for one around the home, that one's ideal. It can be wall-mounted as well, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so for me, it's a case of, do I want to get the bottom part to that? My VHS player, I had that from when I was younger in my teens, or early adult. I remember buying it specifically, so that's why I never threw it away, because back in the day with tape decks, some had two heads, I think it is, and it just meant the picture quality weren't as good, it weren't as durable, more susceptible, I think, to the tape catching and all sorts of things. And my one's a 4-head. I'm pretty sure it's 4-head, so it's more of a premium one. I know it cost me a bit of money when it came out. I loved it so much that I recommended it to my parents, and they got exactly the same one as well. But I never threw mine away, which is why if you see the video, it's pretty much pristine condition because I've kept it all these years. And I think that's the thing. The smart people are the ones that keep everything, aren't they? But we're not all so fortunate. I say, I've had to replace things myself. But it's this nostalgia to the past, isn't it? I think we're all getting a bit fed up with streaming. I know I am. I'm getting fed up with the idea that if I miss a payment, I lose everything. And I think it's ridiculous. So it's a constant obligation to hemorrhage money. But I don't mind hemorrhage money if I know I'm keeping it. That's the thing, isn't it? So I don't mind investing in a vinyl record. I don't mind investing in different Blu-rays and CDs because they're all quite cheap now, depending on which ones you get. I recently just got a brand new Dermot Kennedy, who I think is great, because I was looking through Black Friday and I'm surprised it's still cheap. I literally just got that. I got this one. Sonar. It only cost £9.99, brand new. And it's an incredible album. There's another version, I think, with a pink colour, and it's £5 more. I didn't see the point. I just want to get effectively, you save money there, you can get another vinyl somewhere else, can't you? So £10, it's still £10 now. It says was 35 now $9.99. Yeah, I think it's a bloody great deal, to be honest. It's back in stock soon. It was with me. There was a delay in posting it. I think I'd wait maybe 2 weeks, but I didn't mind waiting. It's like I've got myself a bargain, you know. Well, I didn't know that was bloody playing. We can camera at the bottom. That might look weird. But yeah, I'm just trying to help people really, because I know people are going to have starting points. Maybe you see someone's built a collection and you're thinking, I want to do something similar. But you're going to want decent products, you know. Another thing is I see a lot of people with these portable DVD players that they like to watch in bed. Now, it's ideal because it's small, but the screen's terrible. And what you can do, which is what I've done for my daughter, is you can buy yourself an external DVD drive or even an external Blu-ray drive. She's got an external DVD, and you literally just plug it into your laptop or MacBook, which she's got the MacBook, and then you obviously put your disc in, and boom, it plays it just like these portable DVD players you've got, but the picture quality is far superior because the screen quality is much better on a MacBook. And either way, it's portable. So, you know, instead of just picking it up though and putting it on your lap, you literally just got one more device to plug in. But does it really matter? So if you want portability, I would say just get a disc, get an external drive for like 30, £40 on eBay, not eBay, on Amazon or something. And you've got that. Your Blu-ray DVDs, of course, you've got consoles and stuff now anyway, so you've got options all over the place. You can have a permanent device with the remote control, or you can just use a game console. But yeah, I'm enjoying collecting. My daughter's now enjoying collecting. She's going DVD crazy. And again, we go in the used market because at the end of the day, it just becomes. At first, of course, you're thinking, I just want everything new because I want to make sure it's not scratched and things. But then you start to realize your library is going to be very expensive to accumulate. And that means you're not going to have as much. Or if you go to the used market, all of a sudden you're starting to get, either way, you're watching and listening to the same thing. You know, so if it's a Blu-ray or DVD. So for instance, Blu-rays right now on Music Magpie in the UK, it's like you've got 4 for a fiver, and some of the range is 4 for £8. Some are buy one get one free. You've got CEX, where some are £1. You know, so Blu-rays now are not as expensive as they once were, especially if you go used. Very similarly priced to DVDs. It's just if you was to look for the same price DVDs, there's just a lot more DVDs. That's what it is. But Blu-rays, you still enhance your collection. Yeah, and CDs are cheap too. They're also on Music Magpie. You can get good deals on them, similar price to what I'm saying about the DVDs and Blu-rays. But yeah, I just think there's something actually beautiful about owning what you have, as opposed to just streaming. You've got a physical connection to the media, you know. And I think people get into it. They just, like I say, they just don't really know what they're looking for. And I would absolutely recommend this record player. But like I've said, this one here that I found, that's literally the only one on eBay, because I just typed the brand name in and put the Atlantic next to it. And I found it, but there's no other listing. And compared to my one, bear in mind this has got the stackable extra drives at the bottom, the cassette and the CD. Mine costs £20. This is £155 more. But yet mine doesn't have all these scuff marks. Mine's perfect condition. It's absolutely beautiful, pristine. And look at the state of this with the power socket. It's all scratched to shit here. Mine's not like that. Again, perfect condition. Looks like the LCD might be scratched there as well. And this is a complete mess. They haven't really mentioned that in their listing. But in terms of like the main section here, mine's better quality, and it cost me £20. So what you're getting for an extra £155? For an extra £155, you get an awful lot of scratches, a lot of poor quality. You're getting a CD player built in. It does record, which is quite cool. But again, you can do that on your computers and things. And you've got a cassette deck. I'm not sure if that's missing a front cover to that. It looks like it probably is. But is that worth £155 more? I'm not sure. I don't think so. So personally, I don't know. I wouldn't recommend paying that sort of price for a record player, in all honesty. But I mean, I don't know the true value of it because I don't know what its original cost was. You know, all I know is it's a really good stereo. It's a good system though, and I'm really happy with mine. But because it's damaged to that extent, I wouldn't really bother. But then I don't know what the alternatives are. You know, because some of them really do look poor. And it's what one thing you've got to take into consideration with records, and I've still got to do my research to an extent, is what you don't want is the needle scratching your record, because obviously that's going to cause you more of a headache in the long run, with just complete and utter trash, isn't it? But I wouldn't say you specifically need, like I say, you don't specifically need these drives at the bottom anyway, because like I've set mine up, it's on a loop really. So we've got this plugged into, have I lost it now? Into one of these. Yeah, so we've got like one of these. So you've got that record player plugged into this, and then it goes out to my speakers. And I think personally that's better. Um, and this is my whole loop of a system, and I'm really happy with what I've got. And of course, it's like anything, you build it over time. You don't just day one get everything you want. It's like, what do you want? I just started getting back into. Me personally, I'm just getting nostalgic. I miss the '90s. '90s, grew up in the '90s. That was when I was at high school, all the way through the '90s. I finished high school 1999, so like I'm literally the epitome of '90s, and I miss it so much. I think it was the best period. I think we had the best movies, the best games. Um, everything was just I think everything's just pioneering. It's all like when we had the past, we had the future, and then everything was merging into one. And it was, I just think it's a beautiful time. I'm getting a bit bored with the way it all is now. I feel like everything's getting pushed and forced onto us now, and I think with like a lot of us are recognizing that more. Um, so yeah, it's just taking back ownership. So even me, I'm thinking about getting a CRT TV. I just don't have space for one really, but I really want one. So the old fashioned tube TVs I want, and I was thinking about getting a games console. Especially but I could run away with that. But so instead, I've got at the moment, I just went with the ROG Ally, and I've got emulators on here, and it literally has every game console on it. So where someone might have a PS2 or a Sega Mega Drive, or you might have an N64, or Dreamcast, or an Xbox 360 or PS3, they might have all that connected to a telly. All I do is pick my device up and I can play it. Same as I do on my computer as well. So instead of having all these devices everywhere, I've decided I'm not going to go too mental collecting, because where do you end? So I think I'm happy at this period of my life to leave it with movies and music. I think that's a fair place to finish, because if you start adding games to it, it just there's too many devices. It starts to get a bit of a mess. I think personally, you get one console, you're going to want another. Where do you put them? There's alternatives with the gaming, with the emulators, because the emulators can actually increase the video quality as well. I think the image quality, so it's better. So I'm drawing a line there, because actually the controllers as well on the modern is better than the controllers of the past for the most part. So again, I don't see the point of going down that rabbit hole, and I'd rather put my money towards these things really. But yeah, it's fun. It's nice. It gives you something to focus on, doesn't it? And like I say, but my collection's been years. It's like a lot of people, I got rid of a lot of my stuff, especially CDs. Well, I don't really get rid of all of them, but CDs and DVDs. But I was smart enough to keep my very favourites. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm going to keep my favourite stuff. So when I went back, it's like, oh, I'm missing some, but I'm not missing much. And it was just start acquiring the ones you miss. But yeah, you start small. My daughter started small, and she's already growing her collection. She's got mental collecting DVDs. Um, she's wanted a vinyl for Christmas, and her own record. So she got a vinyl player, which I recently installed in her room, because it was just sitting around. It might like locked away. Really, I just said, "Do you interested in vinyl?" Oh, because I've got that. Otherwise, I'm giving it to my brother. And she said, yeah. She really I want to collect vinyl. I think she was a bit surprised how much they actually cost for the records. But if you're smart, you can get deals. But especially used market on eBay. But again, do your research. Effectively, I look for the songs I want. Then I try and figure out what albums that song's on. And then I try and figure out a price that I'm happy with. So, for instance, if it's an album with just one song I like, I'm not going to pay a lot of money, because I only really want that song. It'd be nice to have the album. But if the price is silly, I'll move on to something else. Then I'll think of another artist or album I'm interested in. So yeah, I think I paid a little bit of money for Meatloaf, maybe £10. I can't remember, but I love Meatloaf in general, and so I love all of it. Um, but yeah, that's my physical and retro collection. I've been thinking about selling the iPod, because I haven't really been using it, but now I'm starting to go more towards my '90s period of my life, so '90s and the early 2000s, and it's like, it does cross my mind that if I sell it, and then one day I think, oh, I'd love to have an iPod again, then I've got to have someone else's iPod that may not be the same condition my one was. So is it smarter just to keep it? Um, I have to listen to it on my speaker system at the moment, the one that's built in. If I want my headphones, I would have to get the manual cable. I'd lose the noise cancelling. So that's the only thing that puts me off with the iPod. But there might be a way. I think there's ways to add Bluetooth to it. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's something to think about. I just like for everybody. I'm just getting really bored. I'm getting fed up with the notion of being tied to contracts all the time. Even with gaming, the idea of keep subscribing to play these to for that just because you want to access one game, but you're thinking, oh, but it gives me the ability to play all these other games. In the end, it's like, yeah, I'm only playing one. You might as well just own it. And you're just hemorrhaging money all the time, And you're at the mercy. So if they take music down, or they take a movie off a TV service, or take the games off the gaming services, all of a sudden you've lost access, and I don't like that. So I just want to live back in the 90s and stay there. So let's just try and get back to the 90s. I never had record when I was younger. That's the thing, and it was something I was always intrigued by. So it's like, oh, let's do that. And I've collected some great VHS tapes, because I know from childhood the films that I grew up with, and then I started to recognise they was never transferred in the UK, at least, onto DVD. So of course, never made Blu-ray, never streamed, very rarely on the TV. And it was like, as soon as I got my record, as soon as I pulled my VCR out of the cupboard, I got excited because I was like, oh, what tapes have I got? I threw a lot when I relocated. I'm so annoyed with myself. I kept some that I thought was great, and then I threw a load. And what an idiot! I feel really stupid for that. That bothered me, but I had to get over it. But I've bought a few great ones that are rare. I'm not saying they're valuable. They may be one day because of the rarity, though. Almost an Angel. I got Michael, which is an Angel film. Waterworld, Indian in the Cupboard. Indian in the Cupboard's incredible. Yeah, so there's some great VHS tapes to collect, and I'm enjoying that. And I need to get another. Once the Christmas is finished, I've got this bloody tray on. I wanted to get another one of these shelving units, because I can get one on the opposite side of it, and then I can get my VHS tapes back out the cupboard. But because VHS tapes are so bulky, you can get more Blu-rays and DVDs on the shelf in comparison. And I still had DVDs everywhere, so it's like, well, let's just get the films. So effectively, I've got two big towers next to each other, and then we've also got this smaller one which I really like, and none of them cost that much. The shelving unit on eBay costs on Amazon. I think they're about £60 each. And that other one I got from the local B&M, I think, for about £40-50 maybe. The one, the smaller one with the record player on it. So overall, it hasn't cost a lot. So it only cost me another £60 to get another shelf opposite the others. That'll free up more space for either some books, more DVDs, and definitely get my VHS tapes out more, because it makes your own little media center, So you're never worried about what you can listen to or what to watch. You've permanently got something here. And I like that. Whereas other people, their internet goes down or they miss a payment, all of a sudden they're screaming. It's like, I'm chilled, I'm relaxed, I'm good in my own company here. But again, it's like, do your research on the products you want. So mine's I'm trying to find it from the picture now. Let's see if we can rewind that. Yeah. Oh crap, I shouldn't have pressed play. I don't think it says the model. So mine says digital picture-in-picture. It's a Sanyo. And it's also got, so where's that picture-in-picture? I didn't know it's got that, but then I haven't got, have I got the remote? I think I lost the remote. I have got it. It's just somewhere in a box somewhere. Just never found it since. It's one of those, you find it when you're not looking for it, and then as soon as you think, oh, I'm pulling this out the cupboard, I can't find the remote. And you've also got the composite out things, the RCA and the video out at the front there, so you could always put a video camera to it or something else. So that's pretty cool. I haven't tried linking up a DVD to it. That'd be interesting. I'm sure copyright will go all over that. But I haven't got any recordable VHS tapes yet. But that might be something worth exploring, because it's nice to have. I like VHS. And what I've got actually is, because my telly actually doesn't have SCART, and obviously back then it was SCART and just aerial cable. So on eBay, Amazon, I keep saying eBay. On Amazon, I bought a SCART to HDMI device. It has to be powered. I can't remember if it has to be powered into a plug socket, or I think it's USB. Because I think, your router, a lot of routers with your modems, it has like a USB port. I think I'm pretty sure I plugged it into the USB port of that to give it power. Because it doesn't need like incredible power. and it turns the SCART socket signal to HDMI for the telly, and it actually upscales it. So there's a switch on the side. It says 720p or 1080p, so HD. So I've got it on HD. So it's upscaling the VHS image to higher resolution. But it doesn't mean it's perfect because it's a big screen and you can still see the flaws compared to DVD, for instance. But it's vintage in the same way like vinyl sometimes crackles, especially the old records. I kind of sometimes like the nostalgia of VHS. But of course, if like for instance, I've collected Disney films just because I think you should. So I've got like Snow White, Beauty and the Beast, all those sort of ones. And I did put, I think it's Beauty and the Beast and Snow White as a test. I put it on here, and it was watchable, and I watched it. I watched the whole way through Beauty and the Beast, and I loved it. And then I put the Blu-ray in, and I'll tell you what, how vivid and sharp that was. It was like, wow, that's crazy quality. But it doesn't mean that I would never watch it on VHS though, because it's nostalgia. It's taking you back to your childhood. I think what it is for most of us, it takes us back to our childhoods, and I think for the younger generation, it take them back to a period in time that they never got to experience, and it was a great time of physical media. And I think it's just sad that we've lost that. And I think people want it back. And I think at some point companies are going to have to recognize that's what people want, and someone hopefully will start investing in it. I saw a video recently where someone was saying that some VHS tapes are getting repurposed by some of the companies. It's like a collector's edition, and one of them was Aliens or something. And the thing is, if they become popular enough and they sell well enough, it can start coming back. And what would be really nice is if we start getting the hardware again, where you can go and buy a brand new VHS player. I don't need one. My one's actually great. It's good quality. Like I wouldn't upgrade it at all, just because it's not cheap. Back in the day, I think it's about 120, £100 or something. Back then, it's a lot of money. I don't know what it'd be worth now. I haven't done any searches for that one specifically. But I'm happy with the quality of my products around my home, But yeah, it's once you've done the outlay, then you can just start having fun collecting, and it's set a budget. Because the thing is, I'm not going to pay a fortune for a VHS tape when I know I can get it at a Blu-ray or DVD. You have to be rare. But the real thing to look out for, and you can't tell until you get it, and I've had a bit of an issue, is some VHS tapes. We all know they can get chewed up, but also some actually have blank spots where there must have been an issue with it at some point, and it's literally burnt or something. Because I had, I think it's Indian in the Cupboard. There's a section where it just doesn't play at all. It's just blank the whole. You have to fast forward past it, and I'm like, oh, that's annoying. But then I have to accept it's old, and I could sit there and go on eBay and get another copy, and I have the same problem, So it's worth. I try to have a look and see about the quality, see the condition they've been kept in. Really, so I mean, I know it's only one way of looking at it, and it might not be the best way because you can't guarantee the tape condition, even if the outside looks great. But if I see, for instance, the sticker on top of the VHS tape, when you actually look at the cassette, if I see it's all torn or something, I'm like, well, you've got to think who had it. It's obviously not been looked after. Maybe one that looks like pristine, you would argue, has been looked after. So maybe that's the one to buy. And usually the prices are so close to each other. And that's kind of what I do. I just look around and what is the condition. Because, of course, I don't want broken cases either. So I try and look at that as well. For the sake of £1 or two more, or $1 or two more if you're in the US, it's worth getting one that's a bit more looked after, isn't it? But yeah, that's my collection, and that's how I go about doing my collecting, really. And I thoroughly enjoy it. I like looking for a bargain. I'm not like a cheap person, it's just that when it comes to old media, I actually enjoy the thrill of finding a hidden gem, or something cheap, something cool. Yeah, I just think it's fun, and you can lose hours, and not even days actually, and still not buy anything. But I find that's part of the fun, is searching. I don't go to the second-hand stores like I see a lot of people do, because I don't like haggling. I couldn't do any of that shit. If I don't know, if something's not got a label on it, for instance, I can't stand that. I'm not going to go and ask every time I'm interested. If you can't make it easy, I'm not interested. But no, maybe in the future I will go to things like that. I used to like going to boot sales, but I just figured you're just buying someone else's shit all the time. It's like they don't want it. Why do I want it? And sometimes I started to recognise over the years that the prices were like not really deals, whereas before you used to get things so cheap it was silly. It's like people nowadays, and you can't blame them, they know the value of things now. That's the thing. I think realistically, so when I bought my record player last year for 20 quid, it's the person's probably just trying to pump them out. He's got hold of it, he's trying to flog it. Maybe he couldn't sell it, maybe no one was buying it, so he just dropped it down to 20 quid and sold it. Yet someone else is recognising you actually can't find these anywhere. Hence why I just said I can't find it, and they're £175. But it does say or best offer, so it probably is they're trying it on. And I'm sure if it's sat there long enough and someone was to offer 120 quid, they might think you're taking the pity. But like, the question comes, how much did they pay for it, and what a loss are they making? So it's worth trying it. If you've only got any of these best offers, it's worth throwing an offer out there. But if it says people are watching it, I would be very careful. So, for instance, if it's going to save you maybe £5 or £10, and there's like 10 people looking, I just pay. I don't waste time with offers, because someone else could just press buy it now while you're offering, or someone could offer more anyway. And it's like, if you want it, just get it. At least you know you got it. Especially when it's something rare like this. I'm not saying get this one, because it's like the condition isn't exactly the favourable, and that's quite high for something like that. But I just think if you find something that you think, you know what, that's what I want, I think, and it ain't ridiculously expensive, it's like, just get it. Because the problem is it sells, and then now you've got to look at other rubbish. Do you know what I mean? The build quality on that's good, and you find something else, the build quality is crap. It's like, what's the point? Just because you didn't want to pay it all immediately, like now, you say, just get it. But yeah, for me personally, I don't have anything physical to get now. I'm thinking about a cassette tape. I don't even know why I'm interested in cassettes, but I think it's because it's the one I ain't got. And if it ain't that, it'd be video games, and I really don't want to go the video game route. So that's why I'm happy with my emulators. But tapes, maybe only because there's periods of time when you've got to think CD wasn't existing, so there will be tapes out there. But then most with music, it was always repurposed, wasn't it? If there was a vinyl, there was probably a tape. If there was a tape, there was probably a CD. I don't think they really missed anything. So I'm not sure whether the tape's worth it. It would come down to how much cassette tapes cost themselves. If I go on eBay, for instance, and I'm looking up cassette tapes, and I think they're charging £10 for an album, it's like, well, that's not worth it. I can buy a brand new CD for £10. I can go Music Magpie, for instance, and get buy one get one free on CD. So it cost me £1 a CD, and things like that. You can probably go some other places and get some cheap discs. So yeah, I'm not going to go crazy down that rabbit hole. So sometimes that's worth looking at. How much is it? How much is the physical media going to cost you over a longer period? Is it worth even buying the technology to play it? That's something else as well to consider. And yeah, like I said at the beginning, though, if you was to get yourself a DVD player for your computer, for instance, one of those external ones, so you can play the movies, it can also play CDs. And the beautiful thing with that is you could buy your CD, and then you can sort of rip it. So you extract it literally copies the music to your computer as an MP3 file. And now you've got back in the day, that's how we all did it. Because we all had built-in, the computers already had, and the laptops already had built-in disk drives. Again, annoys me that we don't now. Losing so much. But you get yourself an external one, put your CD in, you start to build up your digital collection that you own as well. And you've got to collect, even if you ever got a scratch on the disc, you've still got access to it. And I think that's worth doing too. And the plus side of that, of course, is once you've got all those physical files on your computer, you can then make playlists. And from those playlists, you can sort of then decide, you know what, you can get about 20 to 21 songs, I think, on a CD. So effectively, you can then burn the CD, so that's rip it. So you can actually put those songs onto a disc, and then you can play them on your CD player. So for instance, I've done that in my car. I've got actual CDs. And then I've also got the like ones where I've made playlists and then recorded it to a disc and then put that in the car. Alternatives to everything, of course. You don't have to do all that. You could literally go on YouTube and then find a YouTube. You could do a YouTube converter where it extracts the music from the video and downloads that to your computer. Then you can record that to a thing. But even to record that, you're going to need the disc drive, aren't you? So I'd argue at the bare minimum, it might be worth getting an external DVD CD player to start with, even if anyone's starting out, because that gives you access to it and you can actually do a bit of recording as well. And just use your laptop as the speakers. But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily go new everything. That's the thing. With these record players, I wouldn't specifically say no. If you start going, just an example, if you used to go on Amazon now and type a record player, vinyl player, you'll see for £75 it's crap. It's one of those portable shit things with the tiny little speakers built into it, and the build quality don't exactly look great. And it's like, what's the point? That's where I was getting really, really annoyed, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Even the ones that are more expensive, I just thought they look shit though. They don't look good. You just want something vintage that's strong because they were durable back in the day, you know? So if you can find a stacking system or something, or again, think of the place where you're going to put it, because for me to have a massive stacking system, that'd be pointless. I'm not interested in that. I want something more compact, which is what I've got. And I'm happy how my setup is, but yeah, it's been fun collecting. So now I'm on a bit of a hunting trip now to see if I can get any cheap vinyls, because I like building my collection up. But for the most part, it's cheaper to actually get old ones. So, for instance, I bought 2 Bryan Adam albums on vinyl. I wanted these, like an Ultimate Edition, I think it's called, on Amazon, but it's like £35. I paid like, I think £8 or £9 or something for both albums. So it worked out like £4.50 each. You know, I was like, oh, sod it, I'll just collect the albums and listen to the albums then. Just because £35 for an album, I think is mad. In all honesty, I think it's a bit crazy. There may be an exception to the rule one day, because like Queen, I keep looking at, and I'm not. If you go used, Queen's still very expensive, and I'm like, I would like to have a Queen record. So as an exception to the rule, I may end up at some point grabbing their vinyl and just paying for it new, just because if you're gonna pay, like if I'm gonna have to pay £20, for instance, or £22 or something used, what's the point? I may as well just go and pay the extra then. I think when you get in higher margins, it's worth it. Yeah, what I would say is if you it's expensive, but it's worth thinking about. Is HMV? See, I paid £10. I think that's great. That's why I bought it, because I was like, you can't buy brand new vinyl for a tenner. That's mad. but if you go here, and I think it's crazy price, free vinyl for £66. I'm like, who pays £66 for freaking vinyls? And then you think, oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. I don't know if that's a good one. That actually might be good, because it does say it was £250. Bluetooth turntable with speakers. I don't know brands, so I couldn't say if that's good or not. But in comparison, I really like my one. Like, it's shifting. That's getting annoying. Let me see if it doesn't even let you click it. God damn. But look at that. I know it's compact. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. And then you've got, is it this one? This one. I'd much rather have that with the big speakers plugged in elsewhere. Yeah, that's just me. I'm not into the modern stuff, to be honest. Although it's got Bluetooth, makes it good. But then mine's got the speaker bit, so you can plug your headphones in. I bought an extra cable, so if I want to sit on a sofa with my headphones, I can still do that. Free vinyl for £66. I thought, that's a lot of money. It's actually getting on my nerves. Let me click it, because it don't let you click the banner. And I thought about it, and I thought £66. That's crazy. That's bad. But then you think, oh, wait a minute, that's £22 of vinyl. Now, if one of the vinyls were £35 new, for instance, then you're starting to save a lot. But who pays 35? But again, that only makes sense if you was going to ever pay £35, which I never was. But I mean, one day I may do that, because with classic albums, like, I'm not a massive Oasis fan, but I respect it, but I appreciate their music, and it's like iconic. And I think for iconic albums, like really iconic ones, I think you can make an I could make an exception to the rule. I wouldn't pay £66 on a regular basis, but I think as a one-off, to maybe have 3 incredible albums, it could make sense, because it's only £22 an album then. And what I would do, obviously, is compare prices. So I'd look at Oasis, definitely maybe here, $27.99. Then I would go on Amazon. How much are you charging for it? Because just because HMV are saying it's worth £28, what is it worth here? And then I'd start working out the maths, because who wants to pay £66 on free albums when you can buy loads of CDs? Average price of about £10 new. Some you get cheap. Some actually blow my mind how cheap they are, brand new. Like Ed Sheeran. Let's say you want Ed Sheeran. You probably go on Amazon and you get him for £5. They're brand new on CD. And you're thinking, that's absolutely mental. You know. So you can get some good deals. But yeah, I love collecting. I'm a collector by nature, really. But I don't want. Oh, I'd love that. I would love that. I've got it on CD. Has anyone saw? If you saw the video, just to put it there, let's just go to there. So it flips around. Right there, the darkness. You see that darkness? So I've got that on CD, and I've had that since I was in like teenage, I think, or young, like maybe 18. Yeah, I've had that a long time. I'm 41 now. I've had that ages. It's been in my collection somewhere. And yet there's the album there on vinyl. Now I don't need it because I've got the CD, but that'd be cool. It's nice to have these, you know. And I want to find a way later on. I want to get there's like a stand you can get where you can, because they're all sideways. You can't really see the front of them, which is really annoying because they look so beautiful on vinyl. So I may get another a stand at some point where I can put them on show a bit more. And that, I love the cover to that. It looks cool. That's £38. Now, at £38, you get it on this deal for £66 for free. It's only £22 a record. So now that record's only cost you 22 quid. So I think that deal is worth it. Like, for instance, I'm not getting it, of course, but if you, I'm not going to do that. But if you was to get all the most expensive ones that you'd be interested in, that's when you're going to save, isn't it? So for vinyls, I think if a vinyl's around about 20, 22, 25 pounds, I wouldn't add it to the collection because you're not saving enough. You're saving enough if you buy the more expensive ones you want. Adele, I've seen Adele albums on Amazon for like 16 quid, and I think it might be that one. So you definitely got to shop around. These average prices are 30 quid though, a bit mental. But like I say, you go on eBay, I think if you forget the latest artists, because the latest artists just don't have enough used market for it. But someone like Alanis Morissette, for instance, maybe that. But even then, I don't know, because I don't know if Alanis Morissette ever had a vinyl when I was younger, because that was the CD period. So if you're looking for vinyl records, ideally you want to look for something that had record in the past because they had mass circulation. So, like, for instance, let's say I'm just saying hypothetical because I don't know if he's got it. Let's say there's a Michael Jackson record and it's 25, 30 quid. No, like I know full well because I already have a couple anyway. That if you was to go on eBay, you're going to get them dirt cheap because there was millions in circulation back in the 80s. And so yeah, you're not the prices are not going to be crazy. But if you was to get something like for instance, we've got Billie Eilish, the used market's too small. There's no history of the record, you know. So you go on eBay and you look at, let's say it's £28 new. You go on eBay, you're still going to pay £22, £20 used. It's like, this is crazy because there's just not enough mass circulation of it to drop the price. So it's worth thinking of that, I think, when you're getting these as well, unless you specifically really like someone. So like Bob Marley, £28. I'm pretty sure you can get that cheaper on Amazon. And I wouldn't be surprised you get it relatively cheap on eBay. Like this one, Meatloaf, £20, £30 is part of the deal, of course. I don't know what it is on eBay, Amazon, but I paid about, I think, £10 on eBay. You know, and it was like, that's good because that's good value to me. And it was used, of course, but I'm fine. I'm fine paying. I'm fine. I'm happy saving 20 quid because that money can go towards Blu-rays. It can go towards my movies. It can go towards some CDs, or even more vinyls. You know. But yeah, it's just shop around, have a think. I think that's the best thing. It's like, did a vinyl ever exist of that before? Because if it didn't, you're not going to get the price much cheaper unless you shop around and one of the stores has a brand new one that's slightly cheaper. But if you can get some old vintage, so for instance, if you had Dolly Parton, I've got Dolly Parton, got a dirt cheap because again, there's a lot of vinyl records of her from the past, you know. But some of these are ridiculous though. £35. I don't even know who that is. I think that's one of the other things when you're looking around, you probably won't know half the artists. There's one album actually. Oh, Luke Combs would be cool. 33 quid. It's crazy. But again, it's HMV. It's probably just dear in general. I don't know where you'd find them cheap on here because don't forget, I just found. Oh, you got turntables. Let's have a look at turntables. Oh, turntables by brand. All turntables. So you got turntables, but you also got turntables with speakers. I'd assume Audio Technica is a good brand, isn't it? Sony. So you got a Sony one for £200. Audio Technica 150. They got a Bluetooth model for an extra 70 quid for 670. These are ones I think are shit. These Crossley ones, they look absolute pants. And yeah, £90. So and I paid 20 for. I paid, and you know what I mean. And I'm paying 20 for mine. Oh, I'll try to get a decent cut of that. I'll do it like that. So I paid 20 for my one there. It's durable. It's great. And then you've got this one for 90. Like and that is literally what I was up against. It was like looking at these crap ones and going, I don't want that. No, I'm not happy with that. I bet the sound's terrible. Like that. Not for me. But to each their own. Some people like style, I guess. But if your sound quality is crap, what's the point? You know full well the ones that are getting, some of them get quite dear. So it depends what your budget is and really what you want to pay. I mean, look at that one, £500. Mental. I mean, Jesus. I mean, not being funny, records are dear enough as they are. To start going too mental with the pricing, it'd be a bit crazy to me. £300, a lot of them ones down here, madness. Now we're starting to get like to the point where I think these used ones are starting to look bloody good. that's looking quite favourable. But no, you'll find some cheap ones. I mean, look, 8 viewed. So people are interested in the brand and the style, but I bet they're off put by the damage. But yeah, but I think once you've spent the outlay for that, you can sort of treat yourself a little bit more, can't you? So, like I said, as a one-off, you could always, if you've got specific albums you actually got an attachment to, that 3 for £66 is not looking so bad. If that, I mean, I'm not a big like Taylor Swift fan or anything like that, but you know, I know her record's a bit dear, and if she was included in that deal, that could work out. If you're saving money, if you're trying to save some money, music, vinyl, 3 for £6 there, 3 for 36.66. Oh, you got her there. Look, the Anthology. I think that's Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. That's just ridiculous, though, isn't it? That album, without being rude, it's £22 for a CD. That's a lot of money for a CD. So what's the difference between that one and that one? That one's £16. This album, it's got 4 records in it, though, so I can sort of understand that. You could say that's a lot of money, 65 quid. Did I say Translucent 4? Is it got 4 albums in that? Wait a minute. Four. It has got 4 vinyls. Yeah, I get it. I still like only like 2 albums in size, though, isn't it? Not sure whether that's worth it or not. It's subjective, but what I'm saying there with that one specifically is 3 albums is £66, whereas she's got 4 of her albums built into one, and it's 65. So I sort of get the cost, and I don't know how much it costs to print these, to be totally honest. But it's sort of playing though, I think, on the market, because there's a lot of I think a lot of people that are fans of her have got into that vintage thing, you know, and they're trying to collect these, and maybe they've got the money to invest in that because that's the sort of thing they don't spend it in a lot of different areas, so they can throw it into that. But the majority of people, that's just outrageous. That's a 2 album, £48. I actually think some of the artists are really, really greedy, like really, really greedy with their albums. And I just don't understand where the costs come. I've seen Billie Eilish ones are quite expensive. I think it's all the ones to do with females for the most part. The ones where like the younger girls like, and it's like it's almost like they know they'll get it. And it's so crazy to me because it can't cost that much to print. I wouldn't have thought, surely. Yeah, hers aren't there. You can't get hers less than 30, but then you could argue a lot of the artists are the same. But my collection's mainly used, unless I see a really good deal. But yeah, my CDs though, I do like to collect specific ones. So like Luke Combs, for instance, I keep buying all these brand new albums when I see them. I'm happy to because, you know, I just think his prices aren't that bad. I think like $12.99 a CD when it's just come out. I think I support that. That's good. Um, but yeah, I'm happy with my collection. But anyway, hopefully my rambling hasn't gone on too far, which I think it has. But hopefully it's gone some way to being some sort of help. Hopefully, because it's not easy to know where to start, and I think it can get overwhelming. And it's like, what you're looking for. Like, say, this has got built-in everything. It's even got DAB radio. I don't use radio because I can't stand it. But you've got radio there, and we've got the functionalities and things. But yeah, I think one thing to look out for, and I'm not sure if they all have it. I would assume they do. There's like a nozzle, and because I've got like one that's a single, and it actually, weirdly enough, even as good as this is, it has struggled playing it because I can't seem to get the tempo right. There's like a nozzle and a dial on the record to the side there, and it allows it to adjust for smaller records, because the smaller records, of course, the needle's going to spin faster because the discs, you know what I mean, because it's going faster round because it's got a smaller diameter. But even then, I can't seem to get the pace right on the music, which in that sense, it's a bit more complicated because CD, of course, you just put it in and play. But the other thing to consider there out of all of them, which I haven't mentioned, is MiniDisc. Now, I don't think there's as many MiniDiscs in circulation because it just wasn't around long enough. It was like the transition, I think, between CD and iPod and things, wasn't it? So it wasn't long lasting, but it was a chance to easily record. Effectively, it was the chance to easily record like a cassette tape but it had tracks like a CD. So with a tape, for instance, you had to keep fast forward, rewind, and hope to land in the right place. But that was all part of the fun in the end. But when you get growing up, it's a nightmare, especially when everyone's sitting around their record players. They're like, that's for me to sit the tape deck, and you're listening to the charts as they come out on a Sunday, and you listen. You go, oh, I like that song. Record. That's what you would do, and then you quickly press stop and try and catch it before the what do you call them? The presenter would talk over it. You know, because you don't want that next time you play it again. And of course, then you'd record, then you'd press record on the next song, but then you never truly knew where the start and end was. It's always like fast forward, rewind, fast forward, rewind. But with MiniDisc, you was able to, when you press stop, it knew that was a stop, so you was able just to skip back and forward. Um, but then we started getting digital content where you could organize your libraries and literally just select the song. So everything's changed, of course, but it's like, how far back do you want to go back to analog? And I think a lot of us have actually gone miles back all the way to vinyl. Yeah, I mean, I literally have a typewriter, so I mean, that's how far back I'm going. I'm like going back to freaking one of those quivers, right with a quiver. Yeah, that's my little take on collecting.